We all know these type of people. The people that no matter what the situation, however bleak it may seem, can always see the positives. They can always see the learning points. They can always see how they've developed. And quite often we look at these people and we think, how is it that you can think like that, but I can't? I'm probably one of those people that always can take a positive from a situation. But what is it that means one person can look at a situation and think that way? And what is it that means another person can look at a situation and think that way? Well, it's quite simple. It's how we choose, or how we've allowed our brains to start focusing over a period of time. And to try and show you this, we are going to conduct one simple experiment. So, take in the room that you stood in now. I want you to look around the room and I want you to identify everything that looks like a square. Ready? Go. Stop. Now, without looking away from the camera, keep focusing on me. Tell me everything that looks like a circle. You might be finding that quite difficult. Now, that little experiment serves two purposes. Purpose one, it should show you how easily your brain and your thoughts can be influenced. Number two, it should also show that whatever you choose to focus your mind on will become the dominant thought in your head. Now, little fun activity, seems silly, seems harmless. If we carried out that activity every time we walked into a room, what we would find is that sooner or later, without having to think about it, at some point we would naturally start to identify everything that looks like a square. Now, again, pretty harmless. But let's flip that up now and let's think about if you then allow your brains to constantly start focusing on things like self-criticism, worry, regret, and you keep going over those things constantly in your mind over a period of time, what you will notice is you will start to become more susceptible. It doesn't mean you will necessarily have these things, but you will certainly be more susceptible to things like depression, anxiety, and crucially, always focusing on the negatives in every situation. What you want to try and do is focus your mind on the positives, the things that you can take out of a situation, no matter how bleak, the positive things, the things that allowed you to develop, the learning methods, anything from a situation that can improve you as a person. And if you start to do that in the same way with the experiment, over time, retraining your brain, what you will find is that you will start to increase things like self-esteem, optimism, resilience, and then your brain will start to naturally look at the positives in situations without you having to think about it. But to think positively over time can be very, very tiring, especially if you're moving from one mode of thinking to another mode of thinking. And it can be very, very tiring, but it is achievable. But what I want to also add in here is I see a lot of motivational speakers as well talking about think positive, think positive, think positive, drive out the negatives, focus on the positives. My opinion, you can't do that. It will demoralize you. You will beat yourself up because you will feel that you're thinking a negative thought, so therefore you must be doing it wrong and you need to think positive. False. Negative thoughts have just as much value as positive thoughts. But what we need to do is balance them out more. Instead of focusing on the negatives in the first instance, let's focus on the positives, and there are always many positives. Let's focus on the positives. Let's not forget about the negatives. The negatives are there for a purpose. They're there to identify the problems, identify the pitfalls, keep us out of danger. But what we don't want to do is let those things become our dominant thoughts. Our dominant thoughts must always, wherever possible, be positives. But do not beat yourself up for thinking negatively. That road leads to depression as well, anxiety, self-doubt. It's actually counterintuitive to do that. So balance the negatives with the positives. Teach your brain to focus on the positives. Healthy mind, healthy body, be positive, achieve your goals.